there is a truth that many of us forget in the midst of life's noise. Your peace is not something you owe to anyone. It is not a currency to be traded, not a reward to be earned by others, and certainly not a favor you hand out at the cost of your well-being. Too often, people live as if their peace must be sacrificed to make others comfortable, as if keeping others happy at all times is more important than being in harmony with themselves. But here is what we forget: peace is sacred, and protecting it is not selfish. It is essential. From a very young age, we are taught to be agreeable, to go along, to please, to avoid conflict. We're conditioned to think that saying yes, even when we want to say no, is the right thing to do. We are told that turning down someone's request makes us rude, cold, or inconsiderate. So what do? We silence ourselves. We suppress our instincts. We swallow our discomfort, and all of it for what? So someone else can remain undisturbed, while we carry the burden of that disturbance within ourselves. It is time to wake up to this. Your peace is not a debt you owe to others. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's emotions at the cost of your own. You don't need to keep overextending just because someone expects it. If you're constantly on edge, constantly walking on eggshells to maintain peace for others, that's not peace. That's internal war disguised as harmony, and it chips away at your soul day by day. We've got to stop measuring our worth by how much we tolerate. Endurance is not the same as growth. Just because you can take something doesn't mean you should. You weren't meant to be drained dry just to prove your goodness. You weren't meant to constantly bend to keep things smooth on the surface, while underneath you're crumbling. People who genuinely care for you will not demand your peace as proof of your loyalty. They will honor it. They will recognize that when you take care of your inner world, you are showing up for them with more clarity, more truth, more authenticity, not less. Let's be clear, not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life, and certainly not everyone deserves a key to your inner world. It's okay to protect your boundaries. It's okay to retreat. It's okay to say, this is disturbing my peace and I won't allow it anymore. The people who truly love you will not guilt you for that. And those who do, they were never there for you. They were there for your compliance. You don't owe it to anyone to carry their projections, their insecurities, their expectations, especially when they contradict your own truth. Your peace is the result of deep inner alignment, a place you reach when your actions, your choices, your surroundings, and your values all speak the same language. That's not something you should ever be asked to sacrifice for convenience. Because when you give away your peace just to keep others happy, it's not happiness that grows. It's resentment, quiet, cold, suffocating resentment. And one day, that resentment will cost more than any temporary discomfort caused by setting a boundary today. Sometimes, peace looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like saying no without explaining. And all of that is okay. It's okay to not answer the call. It's okay to leave the message unread. It's okay to cancel the meeting if you need space to breathe. Because your health, your clarity, your calm, these are not luxuries. They are survival tools. Without them, you're not really living, you're just reacting. Some people will call you selfish for this. Let them. They don't see what you've carried. They don't know the sleepless nights you've endured trying to keep everyone else satisfied while you were unraveling inside. The version of you that says enough is not cruel, it is honest, and sometimes honesty sounds like a door closing. That's how peace returns. Let's stop glorifying burnout. Let's stop believing that being overavailable is a sign of being a good person. Real strength is found in stillness, real power is found in presence, and real peace, the kind that grounds you, holds you, and elevates you, is found when you decide to stop chasing approval and start honoring yourself. Your peace was never meant to be handed over as payment for love, for validation, or for belonging. It is your birthright. Guard it, grow it, and never apologize for it, because the truth is simple. You don't owe them anything. Loyalty is one of the most beautiful qualities a human being can offer, but only when it's freely given, not forcefully expected. Too often, we are told to stay loyal simply because of shared history, blood ties, or time spent. But loyalty is not something you owe. It's something that must be earned over and over again through consistency, respect, truth, and mutual value. You don't owe loyalty to someone who has done nothing but take advantage of your silence, your kindness, or your fear of letting go. That's not loyalty, that's self-abandonment. You see, people who demand your loyalty often do so from a place of entitlement, not integrity. They expect you to stand beside them no matter how many times they cross your boundaries, disrespect your worth, or dismiss your pain. And because you have a good heart, you convince yourself, maybe they didn't mean it. Maybe I should just hold on. Maybe walking away makes me the bad person. But that's the trap. That's how loyalty becomes a cage. We live in a world where many confuse loyalty with obedience. But real loyalty doesn't ask you to shrink, to tolerate abuse, to swallow betrayal, or to destroy your own peace to maintain an illusion of connection. Real loyalty is mutual. It breathes, it grows. It holds space for truth, even the hard truth. If someone only values you when you agree with them, stay silent, or serve their needs at your own expense, that is not love. That's control dressed as devotion. And sometimes the hardest part is recognizing when loyalty becomes manipulation. You hear things like, after everything I've done for you, you've changed. But growth is not disloyalty. Self-respect is not betrayal. If someone is loyal to who you used to be, the version of you that kept quiet, made excuses, and never said no, then they were never loyal to the real you. They were loyal to your silence, to your compliance, and you don't owe anyone the death of your own identity just to keep them comfortable. Just because someone was present in your past does not mean they've earned a place in your future. Time is not proof of value. Presence is not proof of support. You can spend years with someone and still feel unseen, still feel alone. Still feel like you're walking on eggshells in a house where loyalty is expected but never reciprocated. It's okay to outgrow that. It's okay to walk away from someone who believes that your loyalty is their right, even when they give you nothing but inconsistency in return. Some of the most painful betrayals come from those who expect unconditional loyalty, but offer nothing but conditions. They disappear when you're struggling, they celebrate when you fall, they criticize when you rise, and yet they expect you to stay. They expect you to be the one who never leaves, never questions, never chooses yourself. But here's the truth. Loyalty does not mean staying where you're not valued. Loyalty also means being loyal to your soul, being loyal to your growth, being loyal to the version of you that is tired of pretending. And yes, there will be guilt. The guilt of letting someone down even if they let you down first. But guilt is not the same as guidance. That voice telling you to keep peace at the cost of your own is not your intuition, it's your conditioning. You were taught to stay, you were taught to forgive endlessly, you were taught to never walk away. But now it's time to unlearn that. Now it's time to choose people who don't need to be reminded how to treat you with respect. You don't have to keep showing up for people who never show up for you. You don't have to keep proving your worth to people who only notice your presence when they need something. That's not loyalty, that's emotional servitude, and that is not your job. Your loyalty is a gift. It should go where it's appreciated, not exploited. The people who truly deserve your loyalty will never have to demand it. They will earn it by how they show up, how they speak to you in your absence, how they celebrate your evolution, how they hold you accountable with compassion, how they stay consistent even when life isn't easy. They won't guilt you into staying, they will value you enough to grow alongside you. So don't let anyone use guilt or history to trap you in a place you've outgrown. You are not obligated to stay loyal to pain, to confusion, to chaos, to manipulation. Let your loyalty be something that empowers both you and those around you, not something that imprisons your soul. Because in the end, loyalty that is demanded is not loyalty at all. It's fear, and you don't owe anyone your fear. Saying no is one of the most powerful things you can do for your life, your mind, and your peace, yet so many people fear it. We fear being misunderstood. We fear disappointing others. We fear being seen as selfish, rude, or cold. But what if I told you that saying no is not rejection, it's self-respect? It's not about pushing people away. It's about pulling yourself back from situations that dishonor your values, drain your energy, or demand more than you are willing to give. We have been taught that no is a negative word, that saying it breaks connection, that it damages relationships. But that's only true if the relationship was built on control, not on respect. A relationship that's rooted in love, whether it's friendship, family, or something more, will not fall apart just because you decided to honor your limits. In fact, the people who truly value you will appreciate your honesty. They will respect your ability to choose yourself without needing permission. And the ones who don't, they were never really with you, they were with your compliance. There's this idea floating around that good people always say yes. That being helpful means always being available. That kindness means always being agreeable. But the truth is, you cannot build a meaningful life if you're constantly abandoning yourself just to keep others satisfied. Every time you say yes when you really mean no, a small part of you shrinks. Your energy gets stretched. Your inner voice gets quieter. And over time, resentment begins to grow, not toward the person who asked, but toward yourself for not honoring your truth. Saying no is not closing a door. It's opening a different one, the door to inner alignment. It's saying, I value myself enough to be honest about what I can give. That's not disrespect. That's integrity. You are not here to be available for everyone at every moment. You are not responsible for managing how others react to your boundaries. And you are definitely not obligated to explain yourself every time you choose peace over pressure. Your no does not require a 10-step justification. No is a full sentence, and the people who deserve a place in your life will understand that. When you set a boundary, some people will take it personally, not because you've done something wrong, but because they benefited from you having none. They got used to your yes. They got comfortable with your silence. And when you finally stand up for yourself, it disrupts the pattern they relied on. Let it, because the version of you that always said yes, even when tired, even when uncomfortable, even when stretched too thin, was surviving, not thriving. That version of you was taught that love has to be earned through overgiving. But now, you're unlearning that. Now, you're choosing freedom over approval. It's okay to let people be disappointed. It's okay if they don't understand. What matters is that you understand, that you know your worth is not tied to your availability, that your value is not based on how much you can do for others. You can be a kind person and still say no. You can be generous and still have boundaries. You can be supportive without being sacrificial. And if someone mistakes your clarity for cruelty, that says more about their expectations than it does about your intentions. You are not born to carry the weight of other people's discomfort. You are allowed to prioritize your energy, your time, and your emotional well-being. Because when you say no to what drains you, you make room to say yes to what fulfills you. You begin to operate from a place of purpose, not pressure. You begin to act from alignment, not guilt. And most importantly, you begin to rebuild the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. So let them misunderstand you, let them talk, let them say you've changed. Because you have, you're no longer betraying yourself to be accepted. You're no longer handing out yeses out of fear. You're no longer choosing peace for others at the cost of your own. That is not disrespect, that is healing, that is strength, that is truth, and it begins with a simple, unapologetic word, no. There comes a moment in your growth where silence becomes more powerful than explanation. You begin to realize that not everything you do needs to be justified. Not every decision requires a backstory. Not everyone deserves access to your reasons, your healing, your process, or your journey. You don't owe them your explanation, not for your boundaries, not for your distance, not for your change. Because the truth is, people who are committed to misunderstanding you will never be satisfied, no matter how detailed or honest your answer is. We live in a world that pressures us to explain ourselves constantly. When we walk away from chaos, they ask why. When we prioritize ourselves, they call it selfish. When we say no, they expect a breakdown of logic. And when we evolve, they accuse us of being ungrateful or cold. But what if you stopped performing for their comfort? What if you stopped seeking their validation? What if you just did what felt right, and let your peace speak for itself? It's not your job to make others comfortable with your truth. It's your job to live it. You are not a storyteller for other people's curiosity. You are not responsible for softening your voice to be more digestible. You are not required to translate your healing into language they can approve of. Sometimes people will be confused by your distance. Let them. Sometimes they'll think you've changed too much. Let them. That's not your burden to carry. You are allowed to outgrow explanations, the same way you outgrow old habits. When you start protecting your peace, your time, your energy, people will notice. Some will respect it. Others will resist it. They will question you, guilt you, and try to pull you back into the version of yourself that served their comfort. But that version of you kept others satisfied while you felt empty. That version of you was always performing, always managing, always explaining. And that's no longer your truth. The people who truly love you will not demand a play-by-play of your healing. They won't need you to spell out every boundary. They will feel it. They will recognize the energy shift and know it comes from a place of growth, not cruelty. And if they don't, then maybe they were more connected to the old you, the one who said yes too often, the one who explained too much, the one who kept giving chances just to avoid being misunderstood. You don't need to explain why you ended a friendship, why you left a relationship, why you stopped engaging with certain people. If it brought you pain, if it cost you your peace, if it made you question your worth, that's reason enough. And even if you don't have all the words yet, that's okay too. You're still allowed to walk away from what doesn't feel right, even if you can't explain it to others, or even to yourself, in the moment. Your intuition doesn't need to submit a report. It just needs to be honored. The truth is, people will project their own stories onto your silence. They'll make assumptions, fill in the blanks, twist the narrative. Let them tell their version. Because your job is not to correct every misunderstanding. Your job is to protect your alignment, and that means letting go of the need to be seen as the good one, the kind one, the one who always explains their actions to keep the peace. Real peace doesn't require that. Real peace exists beyond public approval. It's found in the quiet confidence of knowing that you made the choice that honored your soul. And once you begin to live from that space, you realize how liberating it is to stop defending your every move. You realize that your silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's choosing stillness over performance. It's choosing dignity over defense. It's choosing to preserve your energy for what truly matters. You don't owe them a breakdown of your past. You don't owe them access to your pain. You don't owe them a soft version of your truth. You don't owe them the privilege of knowing why you shifted. And the moment you stop trying to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, that's when you truly reclaim your power. So protect your peace, even if they don't understand it. Honor your choices, even if they question them. And keep evolving, even if they can't follow. Because the truth is, you don't owe them your explanation. You were not born to be a people pleaser. That is something you were taught, not because you were weak, but because somewhere along the way, you learned that being agreeable kept you safe. You learned that saying yes earned love, that being quiet kept the peace, that putting others first made you valuable. So you adjusted, you adapted. You learned how to shrink yourself in rooms that couldn't handle your fullness, how to smile when your heart was breaking, and how to make sure everyone else was okay, even if it meant losing pieces of yourself in the process. But now, you are starting to remember. You are remembering that your purpose is not to be liked, it's to be real. Your value doesn't come from how many people approve of you. It comes from how deeply you honor your truth. And while people pleasing may have kept you accepted, It never kept you authentic. It never gave you peace. It never made you feel seen, because you were only showing them the version they wanted, not the version you truly are. People pleasing is a silent form of self-abandonment. It's a constant performance, saying what they want to hear, doing what they expect, smiling when you're exhausted, nodding when you disagree. It's exhausting, and yet, so many carry it like a badge of honor. I'm just being nice. But kindness that costs you your truth is not kindness. It's a slow erosion of self. You begin to forget what you want, what you feel, what you need, because your focus is always on making sure others are comfortable, happy, and unchallenged by your boundaries. And here's the most painful part. Even after giving so much of yourself, it's never enough. People pleasing doesn't create deeper love. It creates deeper expectations. The more you say yes, the more it's expected. The more you sacrifice, the more they assume you will. Until one day, you say no and suddenly, you're called difficult, ungrateful, selfish. Not because you changed, but because you stopped performing. You see, when your worth is tied to keeping others happy, you become terrified of disappointing them. But growth requires disappointment. Healing requires boundaries. Self-respect requires being okay with not being liked all the time. You cannot build a fulfilling life while constantly editing yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You were not born to be a mirror for other people's expectations. You were born to be a reflection of truth, your truth. And that truth might not always be easy to digest. It might be inconvenient. It might challenge others. It might lead to tension, distance, even conflict. But that's not your responsibility to manage. You are not here to protect others from the discomfort of your boundaries. You are here to protect your energy, your values, and your soul. People will try to make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. Let them, they'll say, you've changed. And you have, because you are no longer choosing approval over authenticity. You are no longer saying yes out of fear. You are no longer exhausting yourself trying to keep people from walking away. And the truth is, the ones who leave when you stop people pleasing were never really with you. They were with the version of you that kept sacrificing. The real ones, they stay. They respect your no. They value your boundaries. They don't need you to water yourself down to stay in their life. And those are the people you build with, not the ones who expect you to be endlessly available at the cost of your own peace. There is power in disappointing the wrong people. Power in no longer bending for the sake of harmony. Power in standing in your truth, even if your voice shakes. You are not cold for saying no. You are not rude for protecting your energy. You are not selfish for prioritizing your healing. That's maturity. That's growth. That's reclaiming the parts of you that got lost in the chase for approval. So stop apologizing for existing fully. Stop explaining your boundaries. Stop trying to be palatable. You were not born to live for applause. You were born to live in alignment, and the people who truly see you won't need you to twist yourself into someone else just to keep them close. You are not here to please everyone. You are here to be free. Letting go is one of the hardest things we ever have to do, not because we're weak, but because we cared. Because we believed. Because we tried. And walking away feels like failure when your heart was all in. But the truth is, letting go is not cruelty, it's clarity. It's the deep and honest realization that holding on is no longer love, it's survival. It's attachment, it's fear disguised as loyalty. You don't let go because you're bitter. You let go because peace finally matters more than pretending. You let go because you've finally looked at the situation without your hope blinding you. And in that stillness, you see the truth, that not everything and not everyone is meant to come with you. That not all connections are sacred just because they're familiar. That some people were part of your growth, but not meant to stay in your healing. The world will try to make you feel guilty for letting go, especially when you don't offer an explanation, especially when your silence speaks louder than any goodbye ever could. They'll say you're cold, heartless, unforgiving, but they weren't there during the late nights you questioned your worth. They didn't see the emotional debt you paid just to keep the peace. They don't understand how many times you bent yourself backwards to be understood, to be chosen, to be respected, only to be met with disappointment. You outgrew the chaos. That's not cruelty, That's clarity. Letting go doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean what you had wasn't real. It means you finally love yourself more than the version of you that tolerated what hurt. It means the cost of staying became greater than the fear of leaving. And yes, it hurts. But healing often begins with heartbreak, the quiet kind, the kind where no one sees what you had to leave behind just to breathe again. And sometimes it's not about people. Sometimes it's about old versions of yourself, habits you clung to, stories you believed, guilt you carried. You have to let that go too. You have to release the pressure to always be understood, to always be available, to always be strong. You're allowed to walk away from who you were when survival was your only focus. You're allowed to choose peace over performance, stillness over striving, clarity over chaos. Some people won't understand why you pulled back, why you became distant, why your yes turned into a no. Let them wonder. Because explaining your healing to people who benefit from your confusion will only pull you back into patterns you fought so hard to escape. You don't owe them an explanation. Your clarity is your closure. And if they wanted to be part of the version of you that is grounded, peaceful, and whole, they would have honored you when you were breaking. We grow up being taught that holding on is strength, that fighting for things makes us loyal, but sometimes the fight ends when you realize that the battle was never yours to carry. Sometimes walking away is the braver act, because it means you're no longer choosing familiarity over self-worth. It means you're no longer trying to fix what was never willing to grow, and that's not harsh, that's healing. Letting go is not walking away in anger. It's walking away in truth. It's choosing to stop dancing with people who only show up when it serves them. It's knowing that protecting your peace will often offend those who were never invested in it. But you were not put on this earth to constantly explain your needs or negotiate your dignity. You were not born to stay stuck in cycles just to be seen as loyal. Loyalty to others without loyalty to self is not noble, it's neglect. So if you've outgrown someone, something, some version of your past, that's okay. Letting go doesn't make you hard. It means you've softened toward yourself. It means you finally believe you're worthy of more than empty apologies, more than one-sided effort, more than connections built on condition. You're not cruel for stepping back. You're not heartless for choosing clarity. You're not selfish for protecting your energy. You're just finally giving yourself what you kept giving everyone else: grace, compassion, and freedom. And that's not something to apologize for. That's something to honor. So let go, not out of anger, but out of love. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself.